Hey everyone, and welcome. You know how standardized tests can feel like this big, scary, confusing maze? Well, today, we're going to change that. We're handing you a crystal clear map for the VSTEP exam. That's the Vietnamese Standardized Test of English Proficiency. By the end of this, you'll know exactly what you're walking into. Okay, let's get right to it.
So, here's our game plan. We're going to walk through the tests just like you would on exam day. We'll start with the big picture, the blueprint, then hit listening, reading, writing, and finish strong with the speaking section. Simple as that. All right, first things first, let's look at the VSTEP blueprint. Think of this as the 30,000-foot view. We got to understand the overall structure before we dive into the nitty-gritty of each part. So, what is VSTEP really? Well, it stands for the Vietnamese Standardized Test of English Proficiency. It's basically the official exam in Vietnam to measure your English skills, specifically targeting those intermediate to advanced levels. We're talking B1, B2, and C1. This makes it a super important benchmark for a lot of academic and professional paths. Okay, check this out. This table is the entire test in a nutshell. You've got your 4 classic skills: listening, reading, writing, and speaking. But look closely at the times. Reading and writing are both a full hour each. That's 2 hours combined. Right away, that tells you that endurance, especially in the middle of the test, is going to be a huge deal. Let's dive into the very first thing you'll face, the listening section. This is your first challenge, and it's one where you need to be locked in and focused the second that audio starts playing. The whole section runs for about 40 minutes, but here's a little secret weapon for you. That 40 minutes actually includes about 5 to 7 minutes at the very end just for transferring your answers to the answer sheet. So you don't have to panic and scribble on the answer sheet while you're listening. You can focus, take your notes, and then transfer everything over cleanly. Huge relief, right? So the test itself is broken into 3 distinct parts, and they ramp up in difficulty. You'll start with 8 short, separate announcements, kind of like a warm-up. Then you'll hear 3 longer conversations between people. And to finish, you'll get 3 talks or lectures, which are much more academic. It's designed to test you on a whole range of listening situations. And now, for what is probably the single most important rule of this entire section. And this is a direct quote from the test itself. The recording will be played once only. Let that sink in. There's no replay button, no second chances. It means your focus has to be absolute from beginning to end. Okay, once you've survived listening, it's time for what I call the 60-minute marathon, the reading section. This is a real test of your stamina and your strategy, because it's the longest single part of the written exam. You get exactly 60 minutes, a full hour. Now, when you break that down, you have 4 passages to get through. That means you've got about 15 minutes per passage. And that time has to cover reading the text and answering all 10 questions. So, yeah, how you manage your clock here is everything. So what does this marathon actually look like? Well, you're going to face 4 different reading passages, each one followed by 10 questions. That's 40 questions in total. And you'll be reading somewhere around 2,000 words. The topics can be about anything, really, from science stuff to articles about society. You've got to be ready for anything. All right, you've done a ton of absorbing information. Now it's your turn to produce some English. We're moving on to the writing section, and here you're going to have to switch gears between 2 very different kinds of tasks. Think of it like this. Task 1 is your warm-up. You've got about 20 minutes to write a pretty informal letter or email of about 120 words. But then comes the main event, Task 2. That's a 250-word academic essay, and you should plan on using a solid 40 minutes for it. It's a great way to test both your practical, everyday writing and your more formal, structured thinking. And now for the grand finale, the final sprint. It's the speaking test. This is where it gets real, with a dynamic, face-to-face chat with an examiner. It's your chance to really show what you can do in a real conversation. Now, you might see 12 minutes and think, phew, that's short. And it is. But don't let that fool you. It is an intense 12 minutes. It's fast-paced, and you have to think on your feet as you move through 3 different parts of the conversation. So, just like the other sections, this one is broken down. It kicks off with some simple social interaction. Questions about you, your hobbies, your life. Easy enough. Then it gets more complex with the solution discussion. They'll give you a situation with 3 options, and you have to discuss them and choose the best one. And finally, you have topic development, where you basically give a mini presentation on a topic they give you. So there you have it. That is the entire VSTEP exam, laid out from start to finish. And honestly, just knowing this structure is the most important first step you can take. This is how you build your game plan. It shows you where you need to focus and, crucially, how to manage your time.
And check this out. This chart really drives the point home for the written exam. Just look at those numbers. Reading and writing together make up 76% of your time. That is, wow. It's a massive chunk of the test. It's a huge visual reminder that your stamina for those 2 middle sections is absolutely critical. Okay, let's do a super quick recap of the absolute essentials. 4 sections total. The written part is a beast at 2 hours and 40 minutes. Remember, the listening audio is played 1 time only. Reading and writing are an hour each. And the whole thing wraps up with a quick but intense 12-minute speaking interview. That's it. That's the framework. Now you can build your study plan. We've just handed you the complete map to the VSTEP. You know the layout, you know the timing, you know the challenges waiting in each room. So, the only question left is the one you see right here. Now that you have the map, which section are you going to conquer first?
Được thành lập 2018 bởi nhóm giáo viên đã có nhiều năm công tác tại các trung tâm lớn uy tín ở thành phố Hồ Chí Minh. IELTS FOCUS không chỉ có các bạn học viên giỏi là các bạn tiến sĩ, bác sĩ, nghiên cứu sinh, các bạn học trường chuyên, mà còn có các bạn học sinh lớp thường đạt được điểm số IELTS và TOEIC cao nhờ vào phát triển được năng lực tiếng Anh thực thụ. Khác biệt với các trung tâm lớn, đông đúc, dùng chung một quyển giáo trình rập khuôn cho hàng ngàn học viên, lúc đi thi gây nhàm chán cho giám khảo chấm điểm. Đa số các chương trình online hay học trực tiếp tại thành phố Hồ Chí Minh của IELTS FOCUS chỉ tầm 3 đến 7 học viên, dễ dàng theo sát các bạn, giúp tối đa hóa điểm số nhờ tích hợp nhiều phương pháp trong suốt quá trình giảng dạy. 100% lớp học luyện đề được hướng dẫn bởi thầy Quốc Khánh, IELTS 8.5, Reading 9.0, Listening 9.0 và không có band điểm nào dưới 8. Các bạn có thể theo học tại quận 6, quận 2, quận 9 và quận 11. Nếu các bạn ở xa, có thể chọn hình thức học online, giáo viên vẫn có thể theo sát được các bạn vì sĩ số lớp vừa phải.
Waves rolling in so slow. Trust the tide, let go. Ooh, yeah. Deep blue, take me home. Feel the calm in my soul. Stars above guide me right. Moonlight whispers through the night.